You're watching UATV English. We broadcast from the heart of Europe, Ukraine's on air. My name is Anna Nichenko. Hello and welcome. The decisions of United Nations International Court, European Union Summit and Parliamentary Assembly of Council of Europe will be discussed today. So, the European Union countries' leaders agreed on an additional €50 billion aid package for Ukraine as part of the European Union budget. It was announced by the President of the European Council, Charles Michel. According to him, such a decision will ensure stable, long-term and predictable funding for Ukraine. President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, thanked leaders for agreeing the fund for Ukraine. He said that it is equally important as military aid and sanctions against Russia.
This is a clear signal that Ukraine will withstand and that Europe will withstand. It is also really important that this decision was taken unanimously by all of you, all 27 member states, and it is yet another clear sign of your strong unity and support of Ukraine.
The theme and some others we will discuss with our guest, Igor Popov, senior expert of the Ukrainian Institute for the Future. Hello and welcome.
Good afternoon.
Your opinion, why the decision was taken only now? Of course, we understand that it was blocked by Hungary at the last summit. However, now they agreed such a decision. So what has changed?
For sure, we expected this decision at the middle of December when EU Council conducted the regular summit, but unfortunately it was postponed. And you're absolutely right, the main reason is position of Hungary. What changed during this month and a half? Our relations with Hungary. For sure, our diplomacy put it as a priority. We conducted several rounds of negotiations, and maybe the most important one was just a couple of days ago in Uzhgorod when Minister Kuleba and Andriy Yermak met Peter Siarto and discussed all controversial issues. We understand that it's quite difficult discussion, but it's necessary communication. And as an outcome, we see that official Budapest changes their position. So now it was an unanimous decision, and we will have this financial aid for next 4 years. So our diplomacy communicated well and discussed all the issues.
Speaking about this decision, Volodymyr Zelensky called it as important as sanctions and military aid. Your thoughts, when can we expect the adoption of the next package of sanctions and consequences for Russia?
Sanctions is not so effective maybe now because our partners approved all the necessary decisions. For sure, Ukraine asked to consider sanctions against Rosatom, against Russian nuclear energy, because Russia uses their nuclear plants, new projects all over the world in Global South as a diplomatic tool. But now we see that Western countries are not ready to vote for nuclear sanctions. And now the main leverage in sanctions is to close any gaps on new schemes how Russian business, Russian intelligence go around previous sanctions. And for sure, it's ongoing process. We have several common groups which analyze all the updates and propose to leaders what secondary sanctions should be voted. And as an example, we see secondary sanctions against oil industry, which was quite hurtful for Russian oil industry.
One more important topic, the United Nations International Court of Justice found violations by Russia under two conventions, the suppression of the financing of terrorism and the elimination of all forms of racial discrimination. The court confirmed that the Russian Federation didn't conduct an investigation into the financial support of illegal armed groups in certain areas of the Donetsk and Lugansk regions in Ukraine in 2014. And besides this, Russia was unable to protect the rights of ethnic Ukrainians in temporarily occupied Crimea. 15 judges studied the evidence provided by Ukraine for several years. These court decisions are final and cannot be appealed.
By 13 votes to 3, finds that the Russian Federation, by failing to take measures to investigate facts contained in information received from Ukraine regarding persons who have allegedly committed an offense set forth in Article 2 of the International Convention for the Suppression of the Financing of Terrorism, has violated its obligation under Article 9, Paragraph 1 of the said convention.
Is this decision more positive or negative for Ukraine?
This glass is halfly empty. I would tell Ukrainian lawyers expected more. Ukraine asked about quite stronger decision, but in any case, we appreciate court decision. And in any case, it's one more argument in our diplomatic activity. First of all, I have to say that it's not about a current full-scale invasion. It's about events which happened 10 years ago. It's first stage of the war. It's illegal annexation of Crimea and occupation of eastern Ukraine, of Donbass. And Ukraine asked about two main topics. One is racial discrimination and another one is financial of terrorism. And the decision of the court is quite soft, that yes, Russian state did not investigate enough any accusation against terrorist groups in eastern Ukraine. But for sure we understand that maybe court cannot tell that Russia did not finance terrorists because Russian troops were terrorists and they are terrorists. That's why maybe legally it was quite difficult task and challenge for Ukrainian lawyers to prove all our accusations.
Could be done in order to have a better maybe solution for Ukraine? And in your opinion, will we still be able to hold Russia accountable for aggression against Ukraine?
For sure, it's not only decision and court cases that Ukraine prepared. Ukrainian lawyers, Ukrainian prosecutors fix all the crime, all the war crime from Russian side on Ukrainian territory, and there will be a lot of new cases in all international legal institutions. That's why we are sure that in other cases, in other institutions, we will have more positive decisions finally.
Mm-hmm. And one more thing. Last week, Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe adopted a resolution titled Situation Regarding the Children of Ukraine, which calls on member states to recognize the deportation of Ukrainian children from the Russian Federation as genocide of the Ukrainian people, adopted unanimously. During debates before the resolution was adopted, Olena Zelenska gave a speech and she told several stories about Ukrainian children who were forcibly deported to Russia and later were returned to Ukrainian territory. So in continuation of the question about the crimes of Russia, will there be punishment for genocide and deportation of children as one of the factors of genocide? Your thoughts, your opinion?
First of all, yes, it's our diplomatic success, and it's very important that on winter session of Parliamentary Assembly of Council of Europe, they voted for 3 resolutions in favor of Ukraine. But maybe this one about children is the most important, and not only because it's political signal. It's important because it's a base for negotiations. And we see negotiations under a peace formula in working groups, and it's successful negotiations because we returned some children already. So it's very good that First Lady Olena Zelenska spoke on the meeting, and her speech was very bright and correct. And another outcome of this resolution is that we have another criminal case in International Criminal Court. It's another court in Hague. And it's exactly against Mr. Putin, and it's exactly about Ukrainian children. Such a political resolution, it will be one of many arguments and one of the many documents for this court case. And we know that International Criminal Court issued international order against Mr. Putin, and it is one of the reasons why Russian president cannot travel abroad, because he's afraid to be arrested in many countries which respect this order.
Absolutely. And the last question, we see that the world security system is bursting at the seams. Do you think it will last, or does humanity need to think about a new system?
Oh, it's a very global question, and
Hard
for
question,
sure,
agree.
Many politicians, many experts agree that now we see almost collapse of international security system based on rules and based on the outcomes of Second World War. And it's maybe the biggest challenge for politicians, for diplomats, to build up or to update the system without global war, but only based on this regional wars like in Ukraine, but not to push world to a global hot war. This is why Ukraine also proposed our ideas on last UN General Assembly, how to reform UN, how to reform Security Council. And I have to tell that peace formula proposed by Volodymyr Zelensky is not only about peace in Ukraine. It's also one of mechanisms how to solve conflicts all over the world. That's why when we are talking about these detailed working groups on nuclear security, on environment security, on food security, we are talking not only about Ukraine, but we are talking about global world.
Yeah, thanks a lot for your thoughts, for your opinion that you joined us today. I'll remind to our viewers, it was my guest, Igor Popov, senior expert of the Ukrainian Institute for the Future. So it was UATV in English. We broadcast from the heart of Europe. See you in a week.